The following podcast is provided by an approved senior care provider on the Answers for Elders radio network.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders radio network. And we are again here with Elena Cuevas from MorningStar Senior Living, and she is the Vice President of the Western Region. But we're here talking, we're sitting in this beautiful, I wish I could turn the camera around for those of you that are watching on YouTube, because I'm sitting here in this amazingly beautiful, 2-bedroom apartment model unit. And God, talk about an open, beautiful floor plan that feels so inclusive and warm at the same time. It's so nice.
It's someone's home. It's an apartment home. And that's exactly, you mentioned it's an apartment. It's an apartment home.
Yeah.
We just happen to offer services.
Yeah. It has a full kitchen and,
washer,
stove
dryer,
and oven and washer and dryer and the whole thing. So it's kind of nice to have these little adventures for me. I never get out of the studio, so it's kind of fun. So Elena, we're going to talk right now. I'm going to talk to you about the first of 8 foundational principles of wellness. We talk about wellness, but what's the first one?
Oh my gosh, emotional wellness.
Emotional
wellness. That's coping effectively with life and creating satisfactory relationships.
Got it. So when you say emotional wellness and coping effectively, how does that relate to senior living and what you provide?
In so many ways. And so when we look at the process moving into senior living, how scary is it? It's making a dramatic change from the comforts of your home into an environment that you're not used to. You have no idea what's going to happen. There's a lot of loss.
It's that fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown and fear of not just fear, but coping with loss. It's mourning the loss of either a loved one that just happened, mourning the loss of health, mourning the loss of your environment. It's mourning the loss.
And it's also having to make connections of people that you never met before.
And
you may not consider yourself a sociable person.
Right.
You may consider yourself an introvert.
Right.
Or somebody that, because every single person, which we've talked about on this show for a million times.
Right.
There's no cookie cutter solutions here, folks.
Right.
Every senior has unique emotional needs.
Absolutely.
And this is something that you guys put at the top to recognize what's most important. And I think the other thing is it's honoring those values like you talked about.
Absolutely. And so we have a process. I know you met Eric Wallen, he is our director of community relations here for Everett, for Silver Lake of Everett.
Eric
and we have awesome. Oh my God, what an empathetic heart that man is. And then we have Ashley Cho, who you haven't met yet. She's at Kirkland, our building at Kirkland. And of course, with all of our DCRs and community relations directors across the United States within our company, what we really strive to do is when we sit down with families, when we sit down with our seniors, we ask the why.
Yeah.
What's going on? We become a trusted advisor.
Right.
We want to seek to understand what happened. No one wants to make that move. So we go through that necessity of discussing the issues, the opportunities that someone has that they need to make a change for.
Yeah.
And we walk them through the emotional roller coaster ride of what that looks like. So something happened. It's something traumatic happened at home.
Oftentimes, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what brings folks into our communities. Sometimes it is just because they want to be around other individuals because they've become trapped in their own homes. So we really try to seek to understand what the core values that are important to them are, so that we can walk them through that process.
Sure. And I think some of the things that you're saying is there's so much anxiety since the pandemic.
Right.
And so many of our seniors, they sat at home alone in their houses for so long that they kind of turned inward, which is very scary.
Right.
Turning inward is very hard because it's hard to consider, socializing outward, to start to, connect with other people. But if you don't give them the opportunity in their own way to go outward, it will end up in a very bad slippery slope.
Well, absolutely.
To go, they don't take care of themselves. Depression sets in and all kinds of stuff like that.
And we talk about that being able to cope effectively with our life-changing issues that happen, right?
Sure.
So imagine doctor, you go to your doctor's, you go to your doctor's appointment. Doctor tells you you're no longer able to drive because of glaucoma becoming so bad. And so now you're stuck at home.
Yep.
How do you cope with that emotionally? What do? You can't go outside. So we walk through, we help walk through that process of coping through that loss of, so this is what you can't have anymore. This is not the life you used to have. What's the life that you can create? What are the solutions?
Right.
How can we benefit you? If we can't benefit you here at our community, what services can we bring in to assist you with that?
Yes.
Because we don't want our residents or our seniors or prospects to go home without having solutions. If they're not moving in, let's get you a solution.
Here's the thing that was so interesting. Speaking of that, I just took a little walk to everyone up here to this unit from the lobby. Okay. What I was struck by, and I'm just going to tell you, you said hello to every single resident. You validated them. You looked at them. You cared about them. We got out of the elevator. You addressed her by name.
Right.
The type of acknowledgement and the fact that of sense of belonging, it's like they all connect with you.
Right.
That speaks to me of volumes.
Right.
I'm happy here. I want to connect. I want to, move forward in that, in that light. And I think that's the thing, these are little things, but it certainly goes into the fact of recognizing that this is important.
Right.
And I know just going the extra mile when we bring the therapy dogs in, that's total emotional wellness.
Right.
It's bringing that connection in to say, you know what? I have people that care about me, and I can put a dog can put his head on my lap and I can pet that dog, or I can scratch its back, or it'll look at me with those great big adorable eyes and say hi,
Absolutely.
And all of those things, those things contribute to the overall feeling of when I go to bed at night, how do I feel? And that's the thing. And I think, and I'm going to take it one more step, which is really important, and turn it on you, is emotional wellness for the family. I think the families go through probably as much turmoil in making this kind of decision as the resident does. I mean, how do you help the families?
It's the same way, right? Because it's coping with the loss. Your parent doesn't want to go in, and now you're kind of forced to make that decision sometimes for your parent. That's hard. That's an emotion. And so we help our families as well kind of walk and cope through that emotional sting of making a major life decision. In addition to that, you mentioned earlier with the relationship we build, right? It's creating satisfactory relationships. And that's emotional wellness. So these relationships, when we go out and when we're having fun within our business and outside of our business, man, what a connection. And we talk about that connection and, posting that on Facebook, and then we make friends and introduce each other to other friends as well as, and we just continue that bond, that circle of trust and friendship. That's what happens in our communities. That is not necessarily happening at home in our residents' life, but yes, we walk through that with our families, and now their families have grown within the support groups. You mentioned the family dogs. You mentioned, or the pet therapy. Some of our family members enjoy the pet therapy for themselves. They're coming in and now they're making friends with me. I've taken family members out to dinner so many times because we become friends, we become family.
Well, and the other thing is it's helping families come together, because everybody's on a different page, and nobody really, I mean, I've seen so many families that I work with. The day-to-day, let's say the adult child that takes care of that loved one before they go into assisted living, they see a different side to mom or dad than somebody that just comes into town a few times a year to see, because they can always rise to the occasion. There's this feeling of, I'm going to step it up. That isn't necessarily the everyday behavior. And certainly it's feeling like people can understand completely. And the other side of it, I think too, is having healthcare professionals on site, which we will go into later about that piece, but really understanding that an organization like MorningStar is going to understand a care plan. They're going to understand the physical needs. So those physical needs, which we're going to talk about, obviously, are part of that piece of emotional wellness,
Right.
because it's knowing that mom or dad is always taken care of. It's that feeling of peace that a family member has that says, wow,
Right.
you know, I'm really glad I did this, because I know that I can leave for 3 days now and know that mom's going to be taken care of.
Amen to that. And that's what we have, the support groups that we have on site as well.
Yeah.
We have our caregiver support groups, because we still have family members who are taking care of other family members
Mhm.
and other aging parents at home.
Absolutely.
While they might have a parent here, they have maybe an in-law still at home that they're taking care of.
Mhm.
And we have other support groups as well, but we bring families together. I can't tell you how many times I've called the family and said, can you please reach out to Mrs. Smith, because this is what she's struggling with. This is what she's going through. You went through the same thing. Help each other out. That's community.
Yeah.
How loving is that? And how that's investing generously in each other.
Mhm.
And it's incredible to be able to have that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So-
And like, I think I've shared with you about my mom. She was a caretaker in her everyday life.
Yeah.
And it made her feel good to help other people
Right.
and to do things. And so those are things that, being in a community like that, you're making that difference, and you're making it in a positive way. And
Right.
certainly I'm seeing that in this community where people are together and doing things in a positive way, and having fun is at top of the list.
And
that's so cool.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, our residents. I can't tell you, I love being in communities because I get my emotional wellness from that.
Me too.
From the hugs that I get to you looking gorgeous, girl. I'm like, how often do you? I love it all day long. I'll take it. I'll take those compliments. So it makes my emotional wellness skyrocket every single time I'm in a community, which is why I prefer being here than being at home.
Well, I'm with you, girlfriend. If I was in a different stage in my life, I'd probably be doing exactly what you're doing. So everyone, we're going to go to the next foundational principle. Elena and I from MorningStar will be right back right after this.
We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.